Dolphins fans, you're watching Dolphins Today. And on today's show, we're going to be getting into my perfect Miami Dolphins free agency plan. Here's what the Dolphins should do and have to do during free agency for this to be the perfect offseason. They've brought in Vic Fangio, so a great start to the offseason. They can continue to add by bringing in some of the names that I'm about to tell you about on today's show. And free agency is about to get wild. Buckle your seatbelts and subscribe. Also, turn on your notifications because when the Dolphins make a move, we might make a video, we might go live. It's going to get a little bit crazy here. Subscribe to the channel. Again, hit the noti bell. Turn on your notifications. It's the best way to stay in the loop. This is the best time of year. I know I tell you all about notifications year-round, but this is really the time of year that you need to turn your notifications on. Go and hit the noti bell below and set your notifications to all. Let's begin with number one here. I mean, you can't sign players until you clear cap space, right? And at the time we're recording this video, they just restructured Bradley Chubb's contract, but they're still about $1 million over the cap because the cap savings from releasing Byron Jones don't go into effect until after June 1st, since it was a post-June 1 cut designation. Taking a look at some other moves the Fins could make. This is just a few. There's more, but this is a few. You could restructure Tyreek's contract, clear about $12 million. You could trade Emmanuel Ogbah, trade Cedric Wilson, extend Christian Wilkins. I think they'll do this. I don't think they'll do that. And I think they'll trade Ced, and I think they'll extend Wilk. How soon they'll do it, we'll see. But it is worth noting that they have already restructured Bradley Chubb's contract, clearing $14.6 million against the cap. So that is something the Dolphins did on Thursday. We'll see what they do next, but they're going to have to continue to clear cap space to potentially sign a top-tier right tackle. You have got to address this need in free agency. Tua Tagovailoa is injury-prone. He has got to stay healthy. You have got to get him a right tackle to help him out. You did not really have a consistent guy in that spot this season. Taking a look at some possible targets here. Mike McGlinchey from the San Francisco 49ers and Caleb McGarry from the Atlanta Falcons. These are clearly the top two right tackles on the market. I know what you're thinking. Orlando Brown, he's a left tackle. I don't think he's going to move over to the right side. Now, pick one to sign. Type MM for Mike McGlinchey or KM for Caleb McGarry down in the comments section. Who'd you rather sign? McGarry would be a little bit cheaper. That's worth noting. But I would really like Mike McGlinchey in Miami. I think you should write him a blank check. And, of course, he has some ties to Mike McDaniel and also current Dolphins offensive line coach Butch Barry. He was the assistant offensive line coach at San Francisco when Mike McDaniel was the offensive coordinator. If they don't sign a right tackle, maybe they will draft a right tackle. And speaking of the draft, we have just launched a new NFL draft channel here at Chat Sports. You might be familiar with our main channel. Well, we wanted to get you guys more draft content on top of that. So we've launched a draft channel. You can go and subscribe. YouTube.com/ChatNFL. We're having a challenge here. We're trying to see how many Dolphin subscribers can go over to that page as well. So help me out. Help me win this challenge. Go and subscribe to the channel. That is the link below. YouTube.com/ChatNFL. And that link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Number 3, it also deals with the offensive line. It's to sign a solid guard. You cannot have Liam Eichenberg be your starting left guard next season if you want to win football games. Because in order to win football games, you got to run the football, and most importantly, you got to keep Tua healthy. Liam Eichenberg was a disaster at left guard last season. Taking a look at some possible free agents. Isaac Sumalo, he's going to be very expensive. Ben Powers, Dalton Reisner, Nate Davis, and Will Hernandez, names to watch that could maybe play left guard here for the Dolphins. Here is the current offensive line depth chart. Again, you have got to, I feel good about left tackle, center, and right guard. You have got to address right tackle and left guard. And you can't have Liam start there again. You drafted him as a tackle out of Notre Dame. He wasn't good there. You moved him to guard. He wasn't good there. If he's on the roster, he should be a backup tackle. He should not be starting on this offensive line if you want to put the best foot forward in terms of protecting Tua Tagovailoa. Number 4 on my list, trade for the King. King Henry, bring him to Miami. The Dolphins should go all in next week on trying to trade for Derrick Henry and sign him to a long-term contract extension, because this is what the offense would look like if you can somehow pull this off. Tua's QB1, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. That would be lethal for opposing defenses. And Henry has been so good throughout his career. Over 2,000 yards in 2020. 937 yards in just 8 games in 2021. And then over 1,500 yards last season, 13 touchdowns. In my opinion, he is the best running back in the league. You already have a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. You have 2 top 10 wide receivers. Now you add arguably the best running back the Dolphins would have. The best offense in the NFL if they're able to pull this off. They already have a top 5 offense, at least top 10. Now you would have a top 1 of 1 offense if you were to somehow trade for Derrick Henry. The Dolphins are right up there with the Buffalo Bills as the betting favorites to land Henry in a trade with the Titans. There are some reports that the Titans might be shopping Derrick Henry. But I think if they are, the Dolphins need to take advantage and give them a call. Going to number 5 now. It's to sign Jordan Poyer. And I know I said earlier, at least a few weeks ago, that I'm like, safety's not a huge need. But the idea of signing Jordan Poyer continues to grow on me. We know there's mutual interest. We know he wants to come to Miami. His wife, Rachel Bush, is a supermodel. She's probably going to want to be in Miami. Jordan Poyer said he wants to go to a state that doesn't tax him like New York does. I think Florida is the spot for him, if that's what he wants. They can look at the latest on Poyer. He is expected to leave Buffalo in free agency. 9 interceptions in the last 2 seasons. He's one of the best safeties in the league. Miami is a top contender to land him. He went to Tua's birthday 2 weeks ago, and I know that somebody might say, it's not that big of a deal. Well, he talked about his relationship with Tua, how close they are. He's close to some other guys on the Dolphins as well. And here's why the idea is growing on me a little bit. It's because you could have Brandon Jones replace Eric Rowe. Rowe's a free agent. He's going to leave. And then you could have Poyer replace Jones. So your top 3 safeties, Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, Brandon Jones. That would be tremendous. Now, I want to ask y'all this question before we go back to Poyer here, or go to our next thing. Do you want to trade for Derrick Henry? Type T for trade or type P for pass down in the comments section. Go down in the comments. Let me know, what do you want to do? I'm typing T for trade. I think the Dolphins should go all in. Going back to Jordan Poyer, taking a look at what he's done the last couple of seasons. Just 12 games played, but still had 63 tackles, 4 interceptions, 5 tackles, 95 interceptions, 93 tackles in 2021. So he continues to be a top-tier safety in the National Football League. I think if there is mutual interest, and there appears to be mutual interest, the Dolphins should sign Jordan Poyer. And I do think that's going to be their first move in free agency. And if that happens, we'll probably go live here on the channel. Number 6, sticking with the secondary here, is to sign a solid CB2. I'm not saying trade for Jalen Ramsey. I'm talking about a reliable guy that you can bring in to pair with Xavier Howard. Taking a look at some possible names. Jonathan Jones, Greedy Williams, Jamel Dean. I think Dean is a guy that we're monitoring. Maybe kind of a under-the-radar guy that's been linked to Miami. I really like Greedy Williams. Jonathan Jones is kind of the dream corner target for me. He's probably the best option for the Dolphins, but he might not be as cheap as Dean or Williams. Which corner do you want to sign? Go down in the comments section. Let me know. Do you want to sign Dean, maybe James Bradbury, Greedy Williams? No, a lot of y'all might say Jonathan Jones, the New England Patriots corner. Number 7 on my list here is to sign a reliable backup quarterback. A guy that if Tua has to miss time, which we hope he doesn't, but if he has to miss time, could come in and win games. Taking a look at some free agents here that are all expected to be backup quarterback options. Now, I think everyone on this list is going to be a backup except for Jimmy G. Jimmy G will probably get a starting job somewhere, but if he doesn't, maybe Miami comes calling for him to be the backup. Sam Darnold, meanwhile, Cooper Rush, Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think he'll be back, but he's an option. I really like Gardner Minshew, and I really, really like Taylor Heineke. Those are my top two guys. They're two of the better backup quarterbacks in the National Football League. Heineke's just a competitor, man. We saw him win in Washington. We saw him rally that football team. I love the energy he plays with. Either one of those guys, I'd be really happy. We also heard Mike White of the Jets, he was on that list, said he might be interested in playing in Miami. Number 8 is to sign a tight end. I think you have to do this. You only have 3 tight, well, only. You don't need more than 3, but you only have 3 tight ends right now. Because Mike Gesicki's going to be gone, you released Ethan Carter, and then Adam Shaheen's going to be gone. Taking a look at some tight end names to possibly monitor. Dalton Schultz of the Cowboys is a name that we've heard linked to Miami. Hayden Hurst and Foster Moreau. I think Moreau is most likely on this list going to be a Dolphin. Foster Moreau of the Vegas Raiders was kind of their second tight end behind Darren Waller. But when Waller was missing time, Moreau did a really, really good job stepping in and helping fill that void. Do you want to sign Foster Moreau? The type S for sign or type P for pass down in the comment section. Go down and let me know. Number 9 is to sign 1 or 2 linebackers. This is an absolute must. You have 5 linebackers right now that are free agents. You are going to have to rebuild almost that linebacker room. Here are some names to monitor next week. Levante David with the Buccaneers. I think he's a realistic target. Tremaine Edmonds with the Bills. I'm not sure how realistic he is, but he's also an option. So is Bobby Wagner. I really like Leighton Vander Esch, and I really like TJ Edwards. So those are some of the top names at the linebacker position. I think the Dolphins might sign one of those guys and then maybe sign a cheaper guy to be another linebacker, that they bring in. The Dolphins have to address this need, though. They have 5 linebacker free agents, as we're about to show you on screen. Sam McGuavin, Elandon Roberts, Duke Riley, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Melvin Ingram. You're probably going to lose most of those guys, so they're going to have to go out and sign a couple linebackers potentially in free agency. We saw them meet with several linebackers at the draft, at the combine. So we know that they're kind of there's some urgency there, I should say, to help fill that void right now. Number 10, re-sign Nick Needham, 1 linebacker and 2 running backs. Those are the guys that you should bring back. Nick Needham is a free agent. I'd like to bring him back to be maybe the 3rd or the 4th corner. Taking a look here at this depth chart, Byron Jones just got released. So he's no longer on this team. Noah Igbenogany, Keon Crossan, Nick Needham, Tino Ellis, Justin Bethel, Trill Williams. Don't forget about Trill. He's really good. Taking a look at the linebacker depth chart here. Jalen Phillips, Jerome Baker, Landon Roberts, Bradley Chubb. Some names, Andrew Van Ginkel, though Duke Riley, Aguavin, Roberts, and Ingram are the free agents at those spots. So that is my perfect offseason plan. As far as the 2 running backs go, I think you should re-sign one of Mostert Wilson and then one of Ahmed and Gaskin. I do not think that the Dolphins need to re-sign both Wilson and Mostert. If they decide to run it back, so be it. Taking a look at this perfect free agency plan. Number 1, clear up the cap. They're in the process of doing that now. Number 2 is to sign a top-tier right tackle. Number 3 is to sign a solid guard. Number 4 is to trade for Derrick Henry. Number 5 is to sign Jordan Poyer. Number 6, sign a solid cornerback. 2, number 7, sign a reliable QB, 2 backup quarterback. 8, sign a tight end. Number 9, sign 1 and 2 linebackers. Number 10, bring back Needham. 1 linebacker, maybe Roberts or AVG, and 2 running backs as well. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue to have you covered with Dolphins free agency news and rumors. Going to be a big week ahead.